There's nothing left to say but to do just what it takes. It's just a matter of time, and while the world keeps turning, I fight a battle inside, deep beneath the surface, just like a beat that don't stop. One more time. See, I've been waiting all my life. The fortune that I seek is not within my reach. Oh, I won't give it up. I won't give it. I won't give it up. Time's up. We're too far down that road. The windows rolled up. Drive so fast, can't see them in our mirrors now. Wait until they figure out, yeah. The more I see, the more I'm letting go. 'Cause it may be what's out of my control lights a fire in my soul, yeah. One more time. See, I've been waiting all my life. The fortune that I seek is now within my reach. Oh, I won't give it up. I won't give it. I won't give it up. One more time. See, I've been waiting all my life. Oh, one more time. See, I've been waiting all my life. The fortune that I seek is now within my reach. Oh, I won't give it up. I won't give it up. I won't, yeah.
Hey guys, I'm Garrett Lowe, driver number 99 in the NASCAR Euro Series V8 GP. So I was an integral part of the development of the NASCAR Euro Series RC01 race car, and it was an incredible process to be able to work with the iRacing staff and engineers to not only fine-tune the car, but bring it to life in the sim as real as possible. I'm super excited for everyone to be able to try it because we put a lot of effort into this car to make it drive just like the real thing. As someone who's been pro-level sim racing in NASCAR for several years, the biggest thing I had to make sure that was right on the car was the way the tires feel. We were fortunate enough we had a little bit of time left over to dial in the new tire with the new compound this year. So even with the new compound, the car feels just as real as it does on the real racetrack. And that was something for me that I had to make sure was absolutely right, was the way the tire feels. It certainly feels like this is full circle now that I've gone from so many years of sim racing in NASCAR to here in the real world in NASCAR Euro Series, and now bringing this car into the sim world for the first time. It kind of brings things full circle, and it's a really cool process. So I think I'm most excited for the fans to get behind the wheel of the RC01, mostly because it's a tough car to drive. It's tough to drive it at the limit every single lap and manage the tires. But also I'm excited to see the other NASCAR Euro Series drivers get behind the wheel and hear their feedback, make sure I did my job right, helping get the car developed, and yeah, just go from there. I think the next Garrett Lowe could be sitting at home on iRacing, running the NASCAR Euro Series car, and develop their skills on the sim just like I did. And who knows, they could be a champion of the NASCAR Euro Series one day.
We're going to play chess while all these other boys are playing checkers.
Let's get as many points as we can. It all starts right here. Be ready?
And the green flag is in the air. Here they come, storming to turn one. This is incredible! Can he get it done?
The grandstands are going wild.
Yeah, let's go, baby!
Finish, boys.
Tonight on Countdown to Green, the crew recaps a wild conclusion at Daytona. The playoffs arrive in the Irish Hills of Michigan. And we chat with the 2022 Series champion, Casey Kerwin. All of that and more, coming up on Countdown to Green.
Hello everybody and welcome to the track where the postseason begins. It's the virtual Michigan International Speedway, and this is the Countdown to Green presented by Logitech G. One of 10 drivers could lock himself into the finale tonight and be that much closer to winning the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Championship Series. Good evening, everybody. Happy to have you here. I'm Alan Cavana, joined by two of the best. The man driving the wheel, Ryan Vargas, the man behind the mic, James Pike. How you doing, James?
Doing okay, doing well, doing ready for some postseason eNASCAR action at Michigan International Speedway, one of the baddest and the fastest tracks that we visit every year. They'll fan out 3, 4, 5 wide later on tonight. It could be chaos, but it's going to be fun for us to watch.
Ryan, it's finally the postseason, that journey to $100,000. It's short, but you got to get it done tonight.
Absolutely. There's no better way to kick off the postseason than locking yourself into the finale tonight, and that is what you have to do. There's only one previous winner here from Michigan, and it's Steven Wilson. Can he get it done once again to put himself into the finale?
We shall see, and we know they'll be running hard tonight. But before we start, we want to make sure we see what your guys are running with. Ryan, let's show us some of these rigs that our friends are racing with.
Absolutely.
we've got so many great rigs, Ryan. We've got to start with Is That Race on X with this neat little setup here. I love these small rigs like this because it's proof that you don't need thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars to get after it on the sim. If you've got the right table setup or even a fold-up dining table setup, you can go racing on the sim too.
Absolutely, and that's one of the nicest things about, especially the product lines that Logitech offers here. Another really clean but simple setup right here. We got Cooper's setup right here. One of the things that I really like about this is it's nice and cozy. It's in the living room right there, right? You see the kitchen in the background. You get done with a fix, you can hop on over, grab yourself a couple chips, a nice ice cold Coca-Cola beverage, James.
Sometimes you might need a Coca-Cola depending on how your races go. How about John of Blue Sky with a very neat VR setup and the track racer rig and seat. Big thanks to them for their help in the Crandon Championship that you saw on iRacing channels last weekend. And VR, always a neat way to go after it.
Absolutely, and one of the other things too, we talk about VR, well, here's another setup right here that is also relatively simple but very well done. You got a nice little double monitor setup. You don't really see double monitors all that often, but it's got a Logitech G29 setup right here on the computer, on the desk, and that's just like how I started. I started a sim racing with my Logitech G920 on a TV tray, where you eat your TV dinners, James. So, I mean, really, any racer, if you have a dream, you could do it.
Here's another Logitech wheel at the heart of this rig from Jacob Morgan on X. We love a good Dale Jr. burnout in the background, but we love a good rig and seat setup that's ready to go for it too.
Yeah, I love the reel of Dale Jr. doing a burnout. Why not? That's always fun to start at home, and you never know how far you can climb this ladder here in the Coke Series. Hey, but before we get to the postseason preview in tonight's race, guys, we got to look at the William Byron Esports Challenge. A lot of red over on the left side of that screen, guys. We didn't do too well, but you know who did? Parker White and Connor Urashek. They're going toe-to-toe tonight for the win. Not us. Not like us, though.
Man, I don't think I could have picked a worse situation. I was out round one. I know you guys were in it for a little while, but I think by the semifinal, as you can see right there, Quentin Warm and Christopher Hill both eliminated last race at Daytona. Man, we had a really rough bracket challenge. Maybe next year. We'll see.
Yeah, and look, and part of that was the Daytona race that we had just a few weeks ago. That was the final race of the regular season, and it was a good one at Daytona, of course.
Daytona always brings energy, always brings action, and for the first time it was the cutoff race. It was the race that determined the 10 drivers that entered into postseason action. We had lots of fun at the front of the field. We had big moments from Daniel Falkingham, who just about got turned, and then we had this incident with Stephen Wilson and company that really set this race off, Ryan.
Absolutely, and you see right there at the top, Stephen Wilson actually gets away with it here. It's really just everybody in the back. Watch this from Thomas Lloyd. Oh, massive air over the lip there in the Daytona grass over in turn number one. It's a tight little area there, but we talk about the chaos that Daytona brings, the shuffle that it brings. You see right there, lots of shuffling here, James, lots of contact, and it leads to a lot of bubble drivers here. You see Casey Kerwin, one of those bubble drivers, he gets involved, Michael Cozy Jr.
Casey Kerwin got involved, so too did Quentin Warman, who got caught up in an incident as well a little bit later on. But we got to the white flag. Blaze Crawford was leading. The question is whether or not he'd make it around for one more trip at the World Center of Racing and be the first car across the line. And the answer, sadly for Blaze, was not. He ran out of fuel at the end, and Garrett Maines, who's pretty proficient on these plate tracks and officials, Ryan, picked up the win for the folks at Rick Ware Racing.
And that was a big win for Garrett Maines. However, he was not a part of the top 20, so he did not make it to the postseason. And speaking of the postseason, here is your postseason standings. Bobby Z actually will win the tiebreaker if this were to end today, hypothetically, because he has 3 wins over Stephen Wilson's 2. Stephen Wilson is tied by virtue of winning the segment. All the way down, you see your various winners shuffling their way in. Vicente Salas, one of those other winners, getting his way in. Then you see all these guys down here at the bottom. The bottom half here, James, everybody tied on points. It is going to be a very, very tense postseason, especially when we get to the nitty-gritty.
James, a lot of experience on that list. We also have one rookie. I'll start with you. Who do you like in this postseason run to go to the finale and become the champion here in 2026?
This is really, really hard because I think you can make a lot of cases for the drivers in this 10-driver field that we see in the 2026 postseason. But I like thinking I'm a sentimental guy. I want the sentimentality for the one driver who has won everything there is to win any NASCAR except the championship. So give me Bobby Zalenski to win the title.
Finally.
In 1 month.
Ryan, he's been knocking on the door for years. Anybody else on that list? I mean, there's Steven Wilson's out there. Casey Kerwin's out there. Tucker Minter's still looking for number one. Parker White has a championship. Where do you go?
You know where I go? Look, it's easy to pick the guys up front, the Bobby Z's, the Steven Wilsons, but I'm looking at one of those guys who's been constantly pressuring those front guys and made it to the playoffs by virtue of a win, and that's Vicente Salas. He earned that win, got his elbows out, really earned that spot. And you know what? He's going to have himself a fantastic postseason. I see him making it all the way.
Vicente Salas racing for racing legend Tony Kanaan. That would be a huge win all the way down to Brazil. But James, I'm like you. I think on the Cup side, in real life on Sundays, it's finally Denny Hamlin's year. Here in our world, it is finally going to be Bobby Zalenski's year, and he gets that championship. 4 more races to do it, so we got to see if Bobby Z can finally pull it off. One other driver who just snuck in at the end of Daytona, it was iffy there, but he's already got a title under his arm. He's looking for another one. Here's more on Casey Kerwin.
My favorite baseball team is the Dodgers, but don't be mad at me. I'm a very bandwagon fan, and when I go to Long Beach, I've just been to Dodgers games, so, you know, that's just kind of who I'm gonna. They're my favorite team, but it's not like I'm a, big diehard or anything. Yeah, Long Beach it's really cool. Yeah, it's funny because every year I'm like, maybe I'll take a year off, and then I still go, and then I'm like, I'm so glad I didn't, because it's just, just like the views of the track, and because it's right next to the beach and then through the city, and just everything about Long Beach I just enjoy so much, just walking around the track, seeing all the cars going around it. Obviously I love driving at iRacing, which is what started my love for Long Beach, and I'm still gonna keep elbowing eNASCAR people to give us a race there at some point, but Long Beach is one of my favorite places to go for sure. My approach hasn't really changed too much, other than it's more just confidence that you can do it. That's really the only difference. I feel like outside of that, kind of everything that I've done, like in, testing and things like that, is all pretty similar. Mainly just self-reassurance of, your capabilities and, what you can accomplish. All the way up until I won a championship, it was all just like a dream and like, could you win, all that. And now it's, after you win, it gets mentioned about every time your name gets dropped that you've won before and things like that. So, you don't want to suck after that. You want to keep doing good, and I felt like we've done that, been up front since. And obviously had a shot at the championship last year, so hopefully can keep doing more of that. Intense rivalry, I guess, just in terms of who I've competed with, like at the front the most, is probably Steven. I mean, he's obviously winning that rivalry, I'd say, but I feel like it's probably who I've raced kind of the most up front in big moments, big situations. Always clean. Like I don't think we've really had any like run-ins, but just pure competition-wise, that's probably who I've had kind of the most, I guess, rivalry in that sense in terms of racing each other a good bit, for wins and things like that. There's probably guys that like streamed before me, but in terms of streaming consistently and kind of almost like it's kind of my job along with being in the series, probably in the first one, but I guess OG in that sense. But there's definitely some guys that probably streamed some races here and there before that, but probably OG in terms of how much I've done it. Most of the audience came before, for sure. I started streaming in 2019, and then thankfully a lot of people have supported me since. A lot of the Twitch iRacing community, not just from the oval side, but I do a lot of road racing as well, and a lot of those guys have tuned in and supported me there as well. And especially during the championship run, and especially last year too, just have a ton of support from everyone there, which I'm very thankful for. And it was really cool. Like everyone kind of saw the rise a bit of kind of where I was running, 2019, 2020, all the way to how we ended in 2022 and onward. So it's been really cool, and glad that a lot of people have kind of been on the journey with me.
Always great to hear from Casey Kerwin. He is a perennial favorite when you get into the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing series. But now it's time to look at the Logitech G track analysis, and that takes us to Brooklyn, Michigan International Speedway. This track is 2 miles long. This place is a behemoth. 18 degrees of banking in the corners, and this place opened in October of 1968, and we hit on it earlier in the show. Steven Wilson is the previous winner here at Michigan. He's going to be one of the favorites here to go back-to-back here at the massive 2-mile oval.
Back-to-back would mean a long way and a lot to getting that next championship. Let's talk about the track itself, Ryan. You've been on it. What's the challenge of a race like Michigan tonight?
The biggest challenge is balancing setup and keeping your momentum up. If you have a car that's a little too tight or a little too loose, man, you're going to be out to lunch. You're going to be struggling to keep up with those guys ahead of you, utilizing the draft, going down these very long straightaways, James. We've seen it play out so many times. Positioning yourself for the end of the race is going to be so key.
I think the end of the race is where my focus goes here, because much like what we saw at Daytona in the regular season finale, this is a track that historically has a penchant for late race cautions, especially after long green flag runs make up a bulk of the race. So you can be in a good position with maybe 5 laps to go, but can you hang on if there's chaos that happens around you when everybody gets bunched up on restarts? That's, Alan, I think is my key to watch tonight.
I can't wait, because the pressure is on. The road to $100,000 and the title of being a champion. It starts now. We've had the short regular season and now 3 more races in the postseason until the finale, the big finale at the NASCAR Hall of Fame, where one driver will be crowned with the Dale Earnhardt Jr. Championship Trophy. We're going green for Michigan. The postseason and the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Championship Series starts right after this.
Every journey toward racing excellence begins the same way. Today, the gap between the garage and the living room has never been smaller. Because mastery isn't about where you start, it's about where you train. Feel the road. Own the race. Logitech G wheels and pedals, available now on Amazon.
To the 10 best drivers in the world.
The playoffs begin tonight.
There's no time to just sit around and be good enough. Now you've got to step up to the challenge and try to go for the cup.
Yeah, look at my shine with the glow. This is my time with it though. This is my time to be way at the top. Me and my guys gon' pay out the block. I don't look like Paul. Time's right, and I know they see us walking in a limelight. Promise you gon' wanna watch like a sci-fi. My guys are high rises, high times. My crown if you come to my side. I pledge allegiance for lifetime. My squad connected like Wi-Fi. We grind and you see the highlights. This my life. It ain't a game now. Me and you, we ain't the same now. Lions coming out to play now. Opposition out the way now. Out of the way. You wasn't invited. Say you come to play. I dare you to try it. You don't wanna try me. Then step up to my team. Yeah, out of the way. Yeah, yeah. Out of the way. Yeah, yeah. Out of the way.
The road to $500,000 is down to the fastest 10 sim racers in the world. Tonight, from iRacing's virtual Michigan International Speedway, we say good evening, sim racing fans, and welcome to the first race of the 2026 eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Championship Series postseason. Well, what started as a journey for 40 is now down to 10 drivers, 4 races, 2 rounds, and 1 champion to be crowned in a couple of weeks' time at the NASCAR Hall of Fame in Charlotte. We're happy you're with us, as always, with Alan Cavana, Kenneth Bueno, myself, Evan Pasoko, and KB. This is the 10th time in series history that the postseason will crown a series champion, and we've got a whole host. We've got 3 prior champions in the field. We've got a rookie. We got 3 first-time playoff appearance drivers, and just about every single storyline there in between.
It's a big mix, and this is the most fun part about it all, Evan. This season, this postseason, of all the different characters we've seen, drivers that have reached the pinnacle, the drivers who have been so close but haven't found that trophy yet, and those who are just stealing all the vibes for the very first time with a track that's been this postseason opener for the 4th consecutive season, including tonight, Alan. It's going to be a ton of fun. It's a high-intensity track, and of course, everyone trying to get that locked-in ticket to the finale at Charlotte in October.
High intensity and the most pressure-packed part of the schedule. That's what I'm leaning on when I'm thinking experience. Will experience win out? Steven Wilson hasn't made a ton of noise in the last month or so, but now is the postseason, and he wants another title to just cement his GOAT status. Can that start tonight?
And of course, a big talking point coming into this one is what happened at the end of the last segment, and that was Parker White winning the segment 3. He'll get an extra bonus as we look at this playoff round. Michigan, Texas, and Kansas. We've talked all year about how we haven't seen a lot of intermediate racetracks. 2 of them over the course of the next 3 weeks. We haven't seen anything like this Michigan International Speedway, at least on the calendar. But we saw it in the qualifying series earlier this year. Does that benefit some of those drivers? And yes, it's 3 weeks, so that means if we have a different winner every single week, there is at minimum 1 position available on points as we look to make up the 4 drivers who will fight in the finale. Here is a look at your points reset as we enter race number 1.
And you have the top of the board, Bobby Zalenski, 3 wins this season. It's been a little while since he's reached victory circle. Steven Wilson, defending series champion. They're tied on points, but Zalenski has that tiebreaker because he has the most wins. Wilson did win segment 1, which gave him 5 bonus points to this postseason round. You have 5 drivers overall that won a race this season. Everybody else pointing their way in through. We saw Casey Kerwin on the brink of being eliminated from the postseason at Daytona a few weeks ago. Sean Conklin, a rookie, in for the very first time. Connor Yuroshak is in as well. It's a healthy mix of drivers that have been here before and those who are just trying to make themselves known in this series. That's going to be a lot of fun once we bring all that to a conclusion here.
So much strength, even a rookie, though, in this field for the postseason. I can't wait to find out who comes out on top in just a few weeks.
Well, step number 1 is to get the action underway tonight. So let's go trackside and take a look at your Coca-Cola starting grid. And for the first time this season, it is Jonesport, Maine's Daniel Falkenham, who will start from pole position. Brand new sponsor with Skyfund Aviation on board that Rick Ware Racing number 55 Chevrolet. He brings us to the green flag tonight. He is joined by the Austin Dillon entry. That is the Team Dillon Esports number 3 of Blaze Crawford. Christopher Hill will start 3rd for William Byron Esports in number 25. And then the first of our playoff drivers, Steven Wilson in the Spire Motorsports 77, starts in 4th. Non-playoff driver, Seth the Merchant, VFJRXL eRacing, starts in 5th. And then next to him, the second of the playoff drivers, also a former champ, P6 on the grid tonight for the Williams F1 Team Gaming 95 of Parker White. Row 4, you'll find the Kanani Sports number 66 of Sebastian Barron. Next to another playoff driver, it's the Kansas City Pioneers number 20 of Wyatt Tinsley.
You've got a rookie on the inside of row number 5 and a sophomore on the outside. Vegas Inferno's Tommy Gossett, one of his best qualifying runs of the year, starting on the inside in 9th. And Quentin Warman for Hayek Motorsports missed out on the postseason a few weeks ago at Daytona, but still looking for a win in his career. Garrett Lowe for BS Plus Competition, a 2-time winner here in Michigan. One of the postseason drivers this year is 11th. Matthew Morton for TC Esports on the outside in 12th. He was 2nd here in the qualifying series earlier this year. Kenny Brady for the Team Dillon Esports camp, the 33 car, starts on the inside of row 7 with the William Byron Esports number 97. Tucker Minter trying to make William Byron proud and make it to the finale for the 2nd time in his career. He's 14th at the green flag with Jordy Lopez, the other BS Plus Competition Chevrolet, in 15th. And Malik Ray for Junior Motorsports in the 88, not having to start from pit lane this time at 16th to the green flag.
Garrett Maines in the second Rick Ware Racing car. The number 51 starts tonight in 17th position. He will be next to the Letarte Esports number 36 car of Thomas Lloyd. And then Sean Conklin for RFK Racing, the lone rookie on the playoff grid, rolls his number 17 car off from the number 19 spot. He's joined by his teammate right next to him. It's Dylan Basin in the 6 car that takes us halfway through the starting grid. Cody Bias will start 21st tonight in the 98 car for the Apex Racing team. And Bobby Zelensky making his 10th appearance in this championship series postseason. That's right, 10 for 10. He starts tonight with some work to do, 22nd on the grid for the ERA Esports team. Behind him, his teammate Michael Cozy Jr. in the number 34 car starts 23rd. And then the second Letarte Esports entry, just a couple rows behind his teammate, the 40 of Connor Urashak, starts in 24th. It's his first playoff appearance.
And rounding out the top 25, the other Junior Motorsports Chevrolet, the 8 machine of Zach Novak, flanked alongside the FGR XL E-Racing number 12 of Ryan Luza back in 26th spot. Spire Motorsports' Femi Olatunbosin with the Freeway Insurance Chevrolet tonight is 27th. On the outside of him, Jake Nichols for TC Esports, a driver who won this Michigan race in the qualifying series in second split. So we'll see what he can do tonight from that spot. Dylan Duval for the Channel 199 Sim Racing Camp, the team owned by stunt legend Travis Pastrana is 29th. Logan Helton for E-Racer locks out the top 30 with Casey Kerwin, a deep start for the postseason number 24 Chevrolet for Kansas City Pioneers, alongside Michael Guest for Vegas Inferno in 32nd.
And we've got some storylines on the back page here. The Jim Beaver Esports 5 and 8 Stewart will line up alongside his teammate Colin Keister in the 15. They will make up an old Jim Beaver Esports row 17. Behind them, the E-Racer 69 of Seth Knowles starts 35th. He's next to the Channel 199 Sim Racing 86 of Blake Reynolds. And then the last car to take a time into qualifying is the Hayek Motorsports 47 of Dylan Alt. Now, playoff driver, it is Vicente Salas. 38th position on the grid, did not get a qualifying time in qualifying. He attempted to qualify. The clock expired before he could cross the start-finish line, so he will be the lowest seeded postseason driver on the grid, starting 38th. It still puts him ahead of the Williams F1 Team Gaming number 4 of Donovan Strauss and the Apex Racing Team 16 of Ryan Doucette, who make up row number 20. So work to do for Vicente Salas towards the rear of the field. That's how they all shake out. You can look for your postseason drivers a couple of ways over the course of these next few races. First, on the cars, you're looking for that Coca-Cola red windshield banners, splitters, spoilers, and more. Look for the red accents to identify where those postseason cars are. You'll also see a little trophy icon on timing and scoring to help you figure out where they are amongst the field. We will keep you well-versed on where those 10 drivers are. But first, let's talk with the guy who's trying to play spoiler tonight. It is pole for Daniel Falkingham.
Yes, and a great spot to be. Daniel, I know you fell short of the postseason, but still plenty to race for. What's the biggest challenge of tonight at Michigan for you?
Yeah, just try to really stay out of the mess because there's a lot of drafting going to be happening tonight, so it's going to be a lot of pack racing, and hopefully we can just try to stay ahead of all the chaos. But, no, it feels good. All I can say it's my first career pole. I know it didn't really count last week, but I can officially say I've got a pole, so that's awesome. It's going to be cool to lead through the green here, and I know we're going to try to play some spoiler, like you mentioned. Hey, we're not part of the postseason, but we have 4 weeks to have some fun, try to make sure we stay in that top 20. But all about tonight, trying to just stay out of the mess, keep it clean, and hopefully we can bring her home in one piece and put her in the winner's circle. But yeah, good to have Skyfund Aviation on the car tonight, first time with them, and put her on the pole, so hopefully we can keep it up there.
Are there any ethics or moves that you worry about as a competitor, knowing you have postseason competitors racing near you?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be important to try to maybe take care of the playoff guys best I can, try not to ruin their races. But I mean, there's 30 other guys that are out here to race themselves too, along with the 10 playoff guys. So definitely going to be interesting to see how they're going to be raced, especially with a couple of back-end teammates that are part of the playoff picture as well. So definitely want to watch out for them. But I feel like at the end of the day, you just got to race your race and just let it all come to you. So hopefully we don't try to screw them over too much tonight. But yeah, still out here having some fun, try to get a victory for ourselves.
Hey, we saw a New Englander win in Daytona, Daniel. Maybe another one tonight here in the Coke Series. Good luck.
All right, thanks, Alan. Hope so.
All right, lights off this time by. Let's get them ready with a look at our Coca-Cola race analysis as we go racing here at MIS for the 17th time in series history.
So cards on the table for the race analysis tonight. 70 laps for Michigan, 140 miles pit road speed at around 55 miles an hour. Now, of course, that could play a big role. This is a very fast 2-mile oval. You could very well see green flag pit stops come down to the wire with drivers making that transition to the banking and trying to make sure they don't spin out the car on the way there. We've got 3 tire sets available for the drivers, and like many of our races this year, the pit window is a little past the halfway mark, 39 to 44. Now, that's a really interesting window because given the rhythm of this race, if it changes over the course of the night, drivers may have to be right on the very edge of that window and have to save fuel. Daytona a few weeks ago came down to 1/10 of a gallon to give Garrett Maines the win in overtime. So a driver may end up with a situation like that here tonight.
Steven Wilson, defending race winner of this race from a year ago. He's obviously looking forward to this one. Also, Quentin Warman, who won the qualifying series race here, is not a postseason driver, but starts 10th. Could he be a spoiler? There's another look at those Coca-Cola red banners, spoilers, splitters, side rails, just about everything. Look for the Coca-Cola red as we track 10 postseason hopefuls trying to take a big step towards their championship hopes. Here tonight, it's a reset for the 10 best drivers as we are ready to do battle. Falkenham's on the front row. Let's go racing at Michigan. Fanning out about P6, now 3 wide in a battle for 4th. Center of it is Wilson as he tries to split Crawford and Barron off of turn 2.
Trying his best. Crawford just got put in the middle of the blender at the exit of turn 2, and the drivers fanning to the inside, and already a battle for the lead, nearly 3 wide as they came to turn 3. Christopher Hill almost looking like the first lap at Indianapolis against Parker White, the pole sitter. Then can't quite complete the pass off turn 4, and this is the scramble, Allen. Down the front straightaway when everybody's got the draft in hand. You want to choose the outside. It's Hill that's going to pick up Seth the Merchant, and everybody flanking 2 and 3 wide back to turn 1.
They all flare out here. Leading that inside line was Steven Wilson. We haven't seen him up front early in a race in a long time, guys. He has spent so much of this season trying to come from behind. What can he do when he actually starts out front? You can see him there now challenging out front. But look at the lanes way up to the wall out here. 4 wide, 6 lanes of racing. This is Michigan racing right after a restart.
I don't want to sound too much like a youth, but I thought we were cooked off of 2 because that 33, Kenny Brady, he got a little bit of right rear contact from one of the drivers that was 3 or 4 wide behind him. That thing wiggled in traffic, and somehow we got away with it. Up front, you're getting the separation that the midfield doesn't have. Falkenham working a couple of car lengths over Christopher Hill, who's up to 2nd, and Seth the Merchant, who is up to 3rd. That's to the detriment of Blaze Crawford, who drops 2 spots in the opening 2 laps. He's down to the number 4 position, and then 5th on back is where you see those trio of postseason drivers. Tinsley, White, Wilson battling for 5th, 6th, and 7th on the racetrack. There you can see those trophy identifiers to help you track those postseason drivers on your leaderboard.
It was thought they were cooked with the drivers at the front, certainly locked in right now and what their strategy play is going to be for the first segment of this race. And already seeing the push from those postseason drivers. Wilson very aggressive on the first few laps, diving to the bottom. Now Parker White taking control. I did see a bit of Sean Conklin in the middle of that 3 and 4 wide, just trying to get out of the mess. I mean, this is a kind of track like Michigan in the qualifying series, like Auto Club in the qualifying series, where it's all about the draft on these straightaways and everybody can swing to make any kind of moves. So when you're in the mid-pack, your first thought is, let me get out of here as fast as possible, and that's what those postseason drivers are trying to do.
Daniel Falkenham showing a lot of riz out front, and as we come back here now to Parker White, who is challenging for that postseason, trying to make the finale. So many different storylines and agendas, if you will, throughout this field, whether you are a part of the postseason, whether you're trying to remain in the top 20 or just get that first checkered flag. That's what we get with this system. Everybody racing for something right now, as Steven Wilson has been all over this racetrack, bottom now to top, trying to find his way around.
And there's a battle within the battle with these two drivers, because not only are both Parker White and Connor Urashak in the postseason wanting to lock themselves into the finale and fight for a championship, but they are also the last two drivers standing in the William Byron Esports Bracket Challenge. Shame on all of us for not seeing that it would come down to these two extremely talented drivers. Very different paths, though, to their careers, right? I mean, Parker White, a former series champ, one of three that's in the postseason, versus Connor Urashak, his first appearance in the postseason. Whichever one of those two drivers finishes higher, as Urashak gets a bit of the fence there off of 4. Number one, their postseason is going to start better than their competitor, but they'll also be the William Byron Esports Bracket Challenge winner here in 2026. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch those two. Kind of tricky when it's 32 and then 16 and then 8. Gets a little bit clearer tonight head-to-head for who takes that home.
And Parker was also one of those drivers at the very end of the Bracket Challenge last year. So it's interesting to see how he's done it all over again, even in a regular season campaign at Daytona a few weeks ago that was so unpredictable. We didn't know who was going to have a spot over the other, and it just came down to those last overtime restarts to get things sorted out. I really do like the mentality, though, of some of those, especially on the outside. They're trying to hold that maybe middle seam off of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And then seeing the draft kind of come up to them. This is one of those tracks where you can dive on the inside and still make a pass complete slide job in front and then keep position. But all those on the top, keeping faithful to what has been true over the first 8 or so laps. That's the outside is king right now. It's worked out for them so far.
And a good battle for the lead here. Daniel Falkingham not getting out too far in front of Christopher Hill. It's the type of track that this is, but still within distance. Parker White challenging them as well. And I'm still looking at that 77 car back there. I know he's not close to the lead right now, but Steven Wilson, last year's winner here in this race, the defending winner of this race. We know his history, all the wins, all the championships, really trying to get back into that form, but trying to chase down these front two, including that 25 of Christopher Money Hill.
And Chris doing a good job of trying to keep the pressure up as these leaders trying to continue to build space and separation over the rest of the field. 5 cars within a second of the leader, but things continuing to spread out from there on up as the mid-pack is still pretty tight together. But remember, we saw those 3 postseason drivers, White, Wilson, Tinsley, all right on top of each other on the leaderboard a couple laps ago. They've started to spread out. Parker White's been doing a good job of moving his way forward. Sean Conklin also up and into the conversation. 8 positions gained for him. He's just flirting with the top 10 position at the moment, so he's one of the biggest movers in the field. Again, all of that is important as this race continues to slowly play itself out. Quick and worth noting, I think, Nate Stewart's car on pit road, heavy damage on the right side of the number 5. There's no yellow, but some sort of an issue is going to take the 5 out of this race early.
He might have hit the wall, and we've seen a couple drivers do that already off of 2 and off of 4, and it can be very easy if you have a bad block for someone to send you into the outside wall. From there, we saw a huge moment, by the way, in the mid-pack for one of our postseason drivers. Look at the Logitech G Chevrolet in the middle. That's Tucker Minter off turn 2. Kenny Brady giving it a tap off the corner. An unbelievable save. I mean, again, postseason is all about how good you are in the first 3 races. You don't have that much time to make up a bad event. That could have been disastrous for one of our more experienced drivers in this field.
Every moment is magnified in this short postseason round. So something like that for Tucker Minter to make that save. What could have been if he doesn't, right? No time to really make that up other than putting yourself in a hole and only needing a victory. That could save him a shot at his championship right now. Meanwhile, his teammate, we see how good his teammate Christopher Hill is running. So that 97 of Tucker Minter, capable of big things, and he did it right there in making that save. But we're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, first 6 single file right now. And here's a look at Vicente Salas. We heard about his issue not getting to qualify, not getting a qualifying time. He's moved up to 32nd, but still so much work to do. Guys, this looks like a Cup Series field on Sunday because they always talk about how the hornet's nest of being back in the pack. Look at how far the spread still is as you get further and further back in this field. This is what Vicente has to deal with now, trying to come from the back of this field and get as good of a finish as possible. It looks so calm up front, guys. Not the same back here.
30 yards is what we were told is how short he was of the stripe when time expired and his lap time was not allowed. On board with Sean Conklin, I mentioned he's been making moves up 9 positions, tail end of the top 10 right now for the lone rookie in this playoff or postseason field. We haven't seen a rookie in the postseason since back in 2023 when a new hotshot called Tucker Minter and Jordy Lopez, teammates, made it in their first appearance. Sean has had a spectacular season. He also has, of course, that rookie championship and rookie of the year title on the line, but obviously his hopes and maybe aspirations a little bit bigger than he thought they might have been off of the bat. As he's in a great spot right now. Conklin right now the 4th highest runner of your postseason drivers, and he's looking up to Wyatt Tinsley, who's gained a few spots. He's in the number 6 position right now.
In talking to Conklin in his great finishes over the last few weeks in this series, he's been extremely happy and grateful to be in this position, and I think it's exciting that I'll only see Conklin in there, but to see Euroshak in it for the first time, to see Wyatt Tinsley in it, and this is one of those situations where Tinsley has help and has a friend. Casey Kerwin, his teammate, both of those Kansas City Pioneer Chevrolets are in the postseason running for the championship. That gives you an extra boost when you know you have a bit of help. That's until the finale, if you both end up making it there, where it's all individual. And then, of course, they're trying to chase this guy right here, Steven Wilson, who dominated, won his 7th race of 2025 here at Michigan. When we didn't think he was going to be a competitor in the first portion of that race last year, he's doing a good job settling into the top 5. Can't quite complete the pass on Parker White.
Settling, maybe giving up a spot here after he can't complete that pass, but he had made up some ground on Parker White, on Christopher Hill. Steven Wilson, dare I say, a quiet 2 victories. I mean, half this field would be ecstatic to have 2 career victories, and yet Steven Wilson's had something of a quiet season with only 2. Really trying to reestablish himself. A first race here in the postseason would go a long way. Again, the defending winner of this race, now settling himself into 4th. He can be aggressive if he needs to. It looks like he's just trying to take it as it comes right now, as they are gaining a little bit on those front 2 cars.
Only a 0.3 of a second advantage for the lead 2 over the White, DeMerchant, and Steven Wilson group, who occupy positions 3 on back. Closing in on 20 laps complete of 70. Remember, you get halfway pretty quickly. 35 are already there. That's the start of the fuel window. If this race can stay green, you start to think about all of those different strategy calls that could make or break somebody's race. Looks like about 8 spots back. A couple drivers peeking out to the bottom. That was Seb Marin looking on. Conklin up front looking for a battle in P2. The 95 of White trying to get under Hill. Not going to be able to do it that time. He'll pull back up in line, but certainly seems like Parker White and Steven Wilson can smell blood in the water. They are being aggressive at the front of the field. Looks like Wilson just leapfrogs White now on the leaderboard.
And this is really where those open setups start to shine or fall off, depending on how you have set this up in practice over the weeks and the days leading up into this race. Again, it is about draft, but now 18 laps in, 20 to 25 laps in of a green flag run, you start worrying about your performance and rotation in the corners. You can go to the inside and make passes immediately, and then the draft really just starts to fall away. So when I look at packs like these with Seb Marin, the drivers who's trying to get back into the top 20 to stay in this series for 2027, and this battle with Wilson and Hill, it's all about where those tires are for each of those guys, how much they've used it, and of course what lanes they want to choose. Wilson was at the bottom. Seems like it's slickened up over the first part of this run, and here comes Wilson diving on the inside, trying to get a point under the race leader. Cannot do it. Back in line off turn 2, but Wilson is hounding for the lead.
Yeah, we've seen him make these attempts and not succeed at first, but it hasn't cost him that much so far. So look, at now he may try and go to the higher lane. We haven't seen that so far as Christopher Hill trying to get one back, but Steven Wilson going to the high side. They are all over Daniel Faulkingham now. The longer we run, the better that 77 car is getting.
We mentioned the issues earlier that put Nate Stewart several laps down. Well, Blake Reynolds is in the middle of nowhere. He's halfway down the backstretch. The leaders in turns 1 and 2. So what happened to the entry for Blake Reynolds? Well, he's got some front-end damage. Take a second look. Bottom of your screen is what happened as the group of race cars, they were racing themselves off of turn 2. Out of shape was the 5, and there's the second half. So we talked about Nate Stewart, who went right to pit road. Well, the other driver involved was Blake Reynolds in the 86. That's where the front-end damage comes on that car. His Channel 199 Sim Racing entry heavily damaged off the pace and all on his own, as we've got a new race leader, lap number 21 in the works. Wilson to the top of the board, and Parker White right on his heels in second. Falkingham is out of control, coming off a 2. Huge moment, and he's going to nearly be outside of the top 10.
And there's going to be 3 wide underneath him. Now here comes Matthew Morton with a shot through the middle, trying to make it 3 on the inside of the third corner with Quentin Warman on the inside. And this is exactly the chaos that we expect out of Michigan. And when those tires start falling away, they fall away very quickly. Remember, Falkingham has been in clean air all race long. That loosens up the race car naturally. So if you burn the right rear tire at a track temp that is at least over 100 degrees, you're thinking moments like that when traffic is right behind you, that right rear kicks out, and Falkingham in a boatload of trouble trying to sail this ship back to the front.
That was like a parachute just came out the back of that 55 car. That was crazy to watch. You would think there's something wrong, but now he has filed all the way back to 10th and looking to lose more to even Seb Marin. So a big moment there for what was formerly the pole setter and leader, Daniel Falkingham. And the bleeding hasn't stopped quite yet, as there's more action behind them right now.
I think we're going to have another one. Ryan Luza was way out of shape off of 4 that time. He's going to lose some of the positions that he had gained. He had been 14 into the green. It's going to go down to 11 because I think he's feeling those same effects. That car was super loose off the corner, and he's going to get run out of road there. The 33 of Kenny Brady. Bit of an aggressive move. Comes up, shuts the door. Luza, somebody in the midfield who we should be not surprised at all, is going to be one of the quickest and most aggressive drivers in the running order, but look who's around him. 22 machined back there as well. Bobby Zelensky in the conversation. Kerwin in trouble in front. Around goes Dylan Basin. Caution flag number 1 flies. Kenny Brady also goes for a spin.
Well, you almost knew it was going to happen given the wildness of this field and how they were switching lanes and everybody choosing the momentum on where they took it. And Tucker Minter had already been in trouble earlier on tonight, but to be right in the thick of things, not to be involved in the incident, that was a huge potential dagger to the 97 car, and almost got a couple of other of those red bannered postseason drivers involved. That's going to be a break, and like I mentioned in our Coca-Cola race analysis, 39 of 44 is our pit road window. We're at lap 24. If we're assuming no yellows for the rest of this race, this is going to be beyond the window, but it is going to be really close if there is another break in the action. So I'm curious about how much the drivers save off of this pit stop here.
And just make a mental note, if we have another green flag run of this length later on in this race, and there's plenty of time to do so, this thing really got wild about 20 laps into the run is when we started seeing a lot of drivers really struggle. So just put that in the memory bank for reference later on. It's going to be basically wholesale pit service. Everybody begging for fresh tires. They've got 3 additional sets available on pit road. So as they all come down for service, let's take a look at what happened to bring us under this yellow flag, Alan. And it all started with that 97 getting loose.
Just a little wiggle for the playoff driver of Tucker Minter, and it was everybody behind him that dealt with the mess. No other playoff drivers, and relatively small incident in terms of the car, number of cars, but still could have been so much bigger. But check up, oh, side of the wall, and look out the 6 of Dylan Basin. So close for so many.
That was Kerwin, Kenneth, who you reacted to, who just nearly found the opening up top. Not only, 97 fortunate he doesn't get turned here, but Kerwin and Zelensky were super close as well.
And remember Kerwin at Daytona a few weeks ago, we covered it on our highlight reel. He was caught up late in one of those last incidents to possibly take him out of this postseason contention. That was almost another close scare for the 24 car to be just tagged in something that's not your fault. And again, that's kind of the uniqueness of Auto Club Michigan and these sister tracks at 2 Mile Ovals, is that you always have to worry about what those corners bring you and the momentum that come off of turn 4 and turn 2 onto the straightaways. And if somebody makes a mistake, you're going to either end up 2-3, probably 4 wide, or you'll have a problem like you saw there with Basin.
Well, coverage of tonight's race is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. By Logitech G, the official wheel and pedals of eNASCAR. and by NASCAR 26, NASCAR's official video game, available now for pre-order. So under the caution flag, it was wholesale service for everybody after yellow flag number 1 in this opening postseason race of this eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Championship Series. 4 tires and fuel throughout the field, but no drama for most of your race leaders. Steven Wilson was the first car in. He's the first car out. It's going to be him, Parker White, and Wyatt Tinsley, a trio of postseason cars headed up this field.
It's about 40% of the postseason field that's going to be in this current top 10. You know, I was watching some of that progression up through the field for Wyatt Tinsley, for Sean Conklin. They have fast race cars, and again, that may come down to the point I made a few weeks ago after Daytona was over. The qualifying series, the one competitive race that you have with other drivers that eventually made the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Championship Series field, you have a bit more time to figure out the setup, and you have the driving experience. Tinsley and Conklin did well in those respective races. They ran up front for a bit, so I'm curious to see how aggressive they are here now that everyone's on fresh tires and they can push in the draft off the restart.
Also, just a note, the 11, the 16, and the 69 cars all came down to the pit lane, topped off on fuel last time by as well. It's a restart with 44 laps to go. We'll see if that'll be a factor. Steven Wilson choosing on the bottom is going to be the control car as we are back underway. It's a fantastic jump for the Spectrum Chevrolet. He'll lead as we shift through the gears to turn 1.
Liking that start, Christopher Hill on the inside of Parker White, maybe nudging him out of the way in turn 1. Here comes Quentin Warman to make it possibly a 2-for-1 off the second corner, ducking under Parker. They take it 2 and 3 abreast. Down the back straightaway, Quentin Warman has to back out 4 cars under a blanket, single file, back to turn 3. Christopher Hill is not done yet, shut out by the dirty air. Wilson still in front.
Got to get him while you can. Steven Wilson playing defense for the first time tonight is being pursued by another former champion and Parker White in the entire field. Christopher Money Hill looks like he is getting in Quentin Warman's way right there in the battle for third. But let's see what Parker White can do if he's got anything for the battle of the lead with Steven Wilson right now as we see 4 wide racing right behind him.
It looked like Hill lost the nose off of 4, lost a ton of speed, and give him a half lap later. Now he's the one putting the pressure on the 95 of Parker White. They both had a good run on Wilson. Nobody dies, though, and makes a late aggressive move. The fight's behind them. Blaze Crawford and Wyatt Tinsley going to try to split the difference on Quentin Warman. 4 wide, even further back behind with the second of our Coca-Cola featured drivers. That's the 24 of Kerwin on the bottom and the 22 of Zelensky on the very outside. Donovan Strauss, big move, slicing to the bottom. Now it's the 3-car center of 3. Crawford trying to walk the tightrope.
And you saw one of those drivers on the front straightaway in the front of this field try to send it up for a block with the high side draft, and Conklin said, no way. He swung to the inside, trying to make that pass for position. They continue to be on each other's bumper. Tinsley is right on Hill for third, and Parker White can only see one man in the front of him. Parker is the best driver here at Michigan out of every one of the postseason drivers. Over average finish, 7.3 entering tonight's race. He is on a mission to try and lock himself first into the finale. He's looking for that help, though, from Wyatt Tinsley and company right behind. They just continue to battle. Here comes Hill to the inside for second.
And we're seeing the cream continue to rise to the top. Steven Wilson, Parker White, now Wyatt Tinsley trying to get into the top 3. Christopher Hill has something to say about this, though, but he's stuck on the inside. We'll see what those 20 can do on the outside as Christopher Hill is being attacked on all sides. A little further in the pack, Casey Kerwin, former champion, stuck in the middle, trying to nose in right behind Tucker Minter.
Kerwin trying to do his best to work through the field after he had to start way back in the 30s, trying to work his way up and into a better position. Here's a second look at the big moment off of 4 on the bottom. Just finding a spot in line up top. The 89 of Jordy Lopez with a bit of a twitch as well. A lot of sketchy moments. 2 cars door slamming. Right-hand side of your screen in focus. Handful of postseason drivers doing battle. The 24, the 22, and more, all fighting in the mid-teens with a lot on the line as these drivers, to me at least, looks way more aggressive than what we saw in the initial start of this race.
Yeah, they're more comfortable now in the setup, Evan, as they had that first green flag run. They understand what the stakes are, and obviously you look at drivers like a Kerwin and a Zelensky, and even guys like a Euroshak way back in this field. They know they have to be aggressive. Mentally, you're thinking to yourself, if I'm not going to push now to get out of this hornet's nest, I'm probably going to be stuck here. And if I don't push hard enough, then I'm going to be just swamped by everyone else. And that's what has happened to the drivers like Euroshak and Zelensky and company. And then with that pushing comes the mistakes of drivers getting loose and figuring out your way in the draft. Euroshak trying to pink his way to the front. He's been kind of all over the place over these last few laps.
Second look at the bottom of your screen with that number 40 of Euroshak in a side-by-side battle, and he just started kind of going up the hill, and that's what the 199 had to think about that one. We talk about Allen kind of walking the tightrope as a trouble for the 12 spinner up top. It's going to be a caution as around goes Ryan Luza, locks it up, keeps it off of the inside fence, and I think it will be no worse for wear. But Luza goes around. It's yellow flag number 2. We'll get a second look on that, Alan. But to finish the point, right, you kind of questioned, talking with Falkenham, how do you find a balance between being a non-postseason guy and racing these guys aggressively? Clearly, if you're Dylan Duval, you do not care if it's a playoff or a postseason driver getting into you. You'll just door slam them down the back straightaway to say, hey, don't just drive all over me.
Hey, whether it's ethics or karma, what have you, everybody's got a different code. But let's not forget here in this series, we have relegation, right? You have to maintain your position in the top 20 or race your way into it. So plenty to race for all these drivers, not an inch to give for anybody despite the postseason.
So with everybody having just come to pit road last time, and again, we saw 3 drivers come in, get service with everybody else, and then get a splash, top off on fuel at the 1 to go before the restart. That was a restart with 44 laps to go. Caution flag scenario gives you the opportunity to save some fuel. It also means we'll restart inside of our fuel number, probably 34, 33 laps to go when we go back green. So curious if we are going to see any additional takers on the pit lane. Parker White kind of shades. We see the same out of the other Coca-Cola entry. That's Blaze Crawford, but I feel like those were relatively disingenuous. Midfield's where I'm looking, and the first car to pit road is Colin Keister in P20. A lot of drivers behind him are going to pit. Here's what happened with Luza, 3 wide off the corner. That was the 88 car under him. It's contact with Malik Ray that sends him around.
It's a better look from Tucker Minter's perspective there. I mean, it's, again, trying to fight off turn 2. It's unexpected 3 wide. That's his teammate, Seth the Merchant, that pokes his nose up there. And I think Malik is just trying to side draft him hard down the straightaway. Keep him back. Make sure they're side by side going into turn 3. But we know Malik is a pretty aggressive side drafter. Got a little too aggressive there.
So Quentin Warman is going to assume the number 4 spot through all of that. Is having a great run thus far, up 6 spots. Started inside of the top 10, continues to run inside of the top 10. So great showing for the driver who in the qualifying series earlier this year was a race winner here, Kenneth, at MIS.
Yeah, he was. Of course, the qualifying series, very important in the experience for many drivers. Warman had the best experience of them all. This was top split. Plenty of others that are in this series. Matthew Morton, Kenny Brady, Warman, one of them, just sneaking his way through the field. He started 16th in that qualifying series race in Michigan. Nowhere to be seen in the first stint, and then all of a sudden found his way to the front. It took a late race restart in overtime where Morton had to wait for Warman on the gas of the restart zone. Warman got out in front, veered off of turn number 2 on the white flag lap, and just pulled away for the win. Again, we mentioned how the qualifying series pays dividends in experience to those drivers who eventually make this championship series. Warman hoping that tonight is his breakthrough moment here in the Irish Hills, just like it was a few months ago.
I think there were 15 drivers, Alan, who started in top split for every single round of that eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing qualifying series. In Quentin Warman, your eventual champion and race winner here at MIS, only had 1 single finish outside of the top 9. I mean, he was that good. In the season started, we were talking about Seb Marin, who was lighting the world on fire, 3 race wins, a runner-up, a 3rd, but it was the consistency from Warman across all 3 disciplines that eventually led for him to win that championship.
And that's what's so fun about this season is that we have covered that entire journey back starting in February, right through the qualifying series, and seeing these drivers emerge as potential contenders. Quentin Warman, Seb Marin, and then all of a sudden Sean Conklin makes it through. Dylan Basin, who may not have lit the world on fire in the qualifying series, but they are showing up here in the championship series and making names for themselves. To have covered that and told those stories throughout the entire year, that has been fun to see that pay off and to see what they could potentially do here in the postseason. Sean Conklin, I'm talking about, you never know. Despite being a rookie, it's been a great journey.
That Conklin story is a fun one, too. He was 19th in the points for that qualifying series. There were 3 drivers who finished better than him that didn't get picked up in free agency, but he has made the most of his rookie year here in the championship series as one of those drivers on the postseason grid. So a second restart in short order coming up. First cars on fuel and tires restart from 24th position on back. It's another good restart for the 77.
All you need to plant yourself in the front spot off of turn number 2 is get a good restart like that. It's almost the opposite of the philosophy at Daytona and the super speedways, where you don't want to get out to too big of a gap, but there it is, the switch over in turn 2. Wyatt Tinsley can play defense on the inside while everyone tries to push on the high side. It allows Wilson to pull away for at least a smidge. Going in turn 3, Hill did try to dive last time by on the restart. He stays back this time looking for that higher lane. The first seam is really where he wants to track to rotate off the corner, while Sean Conklin and everybody else in the blender off turn 4.
This is what we see with these consistent restarts in the different lanes. Yes, they may work on the bottom for a little bit, but now it's the middle lane getting a little bit of the advantage. And as you see, Sean Conklin stuck there on the outside. We'll see if the momentum can carry him, but Quentin Warman gets just in front, and now they have the momentum. And now we're going 3 and 4 wide. Casey Kerwin on the bottom lane as they go down the backstretch.
It was an awful run off of the corner for Crawford. Wyatt Tinsley, a couple of spots in front of him, wasn't much better, and it stacked the field up a little bit. 5 wide for a moment. Can they make 4 work as they come by at, call it 199, 200 now, miles an hour into turn 1? It's a wide racetrack, but that does not make that moment any less hair-raising. They survive for now, but they'll have to navigate a tricky turn 2 exit. So far, so good. What a mess right around P17.
That's about half of the playoff field or postseason field. In the middle of this, Evan, 4 and 3 wide. Look at Tucker Minter on the very inside, trying to point to the underneath side of Tommy Gossett. He's loose. They're 4 wide off turn 4. Inside, Tucker Minter is gone from the picture. Walked in and walked out with the safe is Donovan Strauss and Garrett Lowe. They're going to push forward, and I think it's going to calm down for a moment, but Minter is still feeling the effects. Still middle, 4 wide in turn 1.
All the work he's done throughout the night. That's his 3rd incident, his 3rd big moment of the night, and he just keeps going the wrong way to start this postseason, and it just gets worse the further you go back. It's nuts to see just how tough it is further back in the field, where they're still 3 wide, 4 wide, trying to find 5 lanes of racing, and Tucker Minter is still stuck in the middle of it all. He can't find a clean moment out there. Another moment for him.
He just cannot catch a break and just doesn't seem to have a handle on that 97 car, and it's a little bit disingenuous to say this. He finished 35th here at MIS in the postseason last year, but he also led more laps than anybody else. So very clearly something different tonight. He does not have the comfort in that race car that he had for most of that Michigan race a year ago, until an eventual incident is the reason why he finished so poorly in that postseason opener. Started this race 14th spot. He has trickled outside of the top 20 and continues to fall down. Femi Alatumbosa to make it a move on him. The 01 of Tommy Gossett doing the same. Minter's all of a sudden now down to P26 as the lowest running of all your postseason drivers. A far throw for the drivers on the top of your screen as the battle for the lead may be back on shortly. Steven Wilson has led 22 laps so far. Christopher Hill's got none to his name, but he's keeping them honest up front.
You're just seeing a different mindset from a lot of the drivers, and obviously Tucker with a lot of experience over his few years in this series as they're 4 wide again, bouncing off the car. That was Michael Guest and Dylan Basin getting contact with Tucker right underneath. But Tucker's the kind of guy that when you give him a long green flag run, you give him not much resistance and a clean racetrack, he can rip laps. He can be one of the best cars over 20 to 25, 30 laps. But this is Michigan. This is a kind of pace that you have to be rushed. Oh, Vicente Salas is around, bouncing off of Bobby Zelensky, spinning down the back straightaway. Will that bring out the yellow? It does. Almost confused whether we were going to have a yellow thrown out for that. Salas again, a driver that didn't have a qualifying time tonight, guys, trying to work his way through the field. And our first postseason driver with damage and in trouble for the yellow.
It just feels like a ticking time bomb back there as the laps go on, as the handling goes away, and they never find a clean piece of racetrack, right? It's never too wide or single file racing back there, and it seems like constant chaos, and it has finally bit Vicente Salas, one of our postseason drivers.
It's tough for all of the close calls. I think the second look is going to show us, I don't think there's anything that Vicente could have done in this one. So many of our playoff drivers, we were just talking about Minter with all the troubles, right? Had big moments and got, a break, maybe got a little bit lucky, found a pocket. And the issue here with Salas was at no fault of his own. I mean, he had been doing such a good job, guys. Remember, missed that qualifying lap, started back in the number 38 position, drives his way up to what was 18th at the time, had worked his way halfway through the field. And the racing gods just frown upon him because it'll look like it'll be Malik Ray who had an issue in the Tint Solutions 88 Junior Motorsports machine, and it's just in front of the 11. Nothing he could have done at all. And now half of the field who did not pit on the last yellow are going to come down pit road this time. Wilson stays out as the leader, but a bulk of the field comes down behind him.
Interesting move. Steven Wilson either banking on a long fuel run. We'll have to discuss that. Here's the replay. Vicente Salas just stuck there, guys, in the middle. Malik Ray checks up, and then the dominoes start falling, and the worst one fell for Vicente Salas.
Unfortunate break. Let's get the perspective from Tucker Minter, who's had his hands full all night long.
Again, this is the same batch of drivers, Evan, that have been around this all night long. Tucker escapes another dagger. I almost wonder if Bobby got a bit of damage there on the right front tire of his Chevrolet for ERA Esports. I mean, Salas did bounce off him, but it didn't look like it registered a big enough dent on the right front to hurt Zelensky's chances. He has a decent pit stop, but, I mean, again, they have been right in the mid-pack and the heart of it all night long, and the mentality is I need to be aggressive, and some of those aggressive moves involve being on the inside in the corners, and then there's that kind of caveat, the double-edged sword, where you're going to have the run into the corner at the entry, but once you don't have momentum off turn 2 or turn 4, you've got a heap of cars in draft that are right behind you ready to pounce and take position, so they ultimately just get stuck behind a wall.
Well, if you're enjoying this postseason, which is just underway, there's a lot more coming at you in the world of eNASCAR because class is almost back in session for the 2026-27 eNASCAR College iRacing Series. The first week qualifying window opens in just 2 weeks' time. So if you're an eligible college or university student in the United States and Canada, scan the QR code on your screen. Participate now, because not only are we testing your skills in the NASCAR trucks as we've always done, but a couple of IMSA-backed events going to showcase the Ford Mustang GT4 for the first time ever with $60,000 in scholarship prize money on the line.
It's going to be a ton of fun. I think road course racing for the College Series field is going to be a brand new experience, a new frontier, and having to balance that out with the academics and all of the tests that you're going to have across the NASCAR trucks calendar and all of our tournaments. It's going to be great. Our rivalries, I've heard that UNC Charlotte is going to have a banger of a roster. They have, 28 drivers signed up right now, so
that's
going to be fun. Yeah, I mean, they're going to be the favorite to beat, I think, guys. We need to maybe see if other drivers in other schools try to build up that big of a team. It almost feels like 2013 Miami Heat all over again.
I want a local rivalry. Belmont Abbey has a great team out here in the Charlotte area. Maybe we can expand the Carolinas, get some Duke Carolina stuff going. We need that here in the series.
It's going to be a lot of fun. The Time attack for that first race weekend opens September 15th through the 20th. We'll catch you September 23rd from the Echo Park Speedway as we get the season underway. So I'll make a generalization here, but you got 3 different pit strategies. You have 3 drivers who haven't pitted at all in the last 3 yellows. That's Wilson, Marin, and Knoll. Then you got everybody who pitted on the yellow prior to this. They all stayed out. They cycled to the front. Everybody who did not pit on that prior yellow came down pit road this recent time. So you've got fresh tires mixed all throughout the field. But one guy who doesn't have them is Steven Wilson up front, the 77, at a deficit to just about everybody behind him. How can he do? It's another good restart, but how good are those Goodyear Eagles?
Remember, once you have at least 5 to 10 laps in a run, it almost equalizes out under a stretch in this drafting style of racing off of the restart. So I don't think Wilson is too bad in this situation. I think it's almost a case of defending more with the buffer of cars he has. He has to worry about Colin Keister, a big run from turn 3. How about Colin Keister, the Ford Mustang on the very outside.
Oh.
Contact for the lead. Keister noses ahead of the stripe. New race leader from Michigan.
Keister, nothing to lose, trying to get that victory. Remember, he pitted earlier, so the fuel question not as big for him as it is for Steven Wilson. And Colin Keister has nothing to lose here, trying to put on a show and pass the former multi-time champion. Couldn't quite get it done as Steven Wilson has fended him off for now. That was a huge run for the 15 car.
15 credited with the lap lead at the stripe, but in the end, to your point, Wilson wins out. And now the post-restart chaos in the teens, as always, 4 wide with the 95 machine of Parker White on the inside of all of it. Here's the onboard perspective from Wyatt Tinsley. What do you do if you're a postseason driver and you see this mess in front of you? I think you just got to keep your foot in it. That's what he does for now. And now he'll end up in the 4 wide because the 34 Akosi sliding the wrong direction. Tinsley and White now side by side. The bottom really not working for the 95 of Parker White. He'll probably lose more spots than anybody in that battle. And maybe more to come as the 24 machine of Kerwin trying to get underneath him. No room, though, for the Coca-Cola Chevrolet.
What's slicking down the inside of the racetrack, and you can already tell that the drivers are clinging to that one darkened line, the first seam here in the corners, because that gives you at least the best rotation, enough momentum. If you're not running the very outside, but you're just not so pinned down when you're running the yellow line at the very, very bottom. So you're seeing some drivers experiment with that. I think Hill has done it, Wilson's done it, White has done it, to not too much of a good effect for them in moving and spearing their way through the field. Parker is in a tough situation right now. Kerwin right behind, and all these playoff drivers. Oh, Cozy getting bumped out of the way. Sean Conklin saying thank you very much to the inside. Rookie getting nosed in.
Yeah, hey, rookie, veteran now in the postseason. Got to do what you got to do. Be aggressive when you can. Sean Conklin using the bumper a little bit here at Michigan when needed and getting the best of that situation. Doing what he has to, though, right? I mean, look at the hornet's nest in front of him. Has to worry about that as he goes way down to the bottom of the racetrack, trying not to get caught up in anyone else's mess, and then swings eye. Oh, it is a mess back there.
And everywhere you look, every battle has at least one of your postseason drivers somewhere in it. It's just inescapable. The 6 car, that's Basin, a little bit loose off of the corner. Close call for the 24 at Kerwin, who slips on through those Coca-Cola featured cars in line. Crawford, 14th at the stripe. And it was Kerwin behind him, scored in 16th position. Look at Kerwin, way to the outside, the freshest of tires, going around the 199 at Duval, who is on older tires. At 24, using this wide racetrack and tires to his advantage.
And it's almost just a way to find clean air, right? You see the battle for the race lead going in, those drivers on the bottom where Kerwin, Jake Nichols, all the drivers are. If you have the tire power, if you have the pace, if you feel your setup is good enough, go in the clean air. Don't be stuck in the middle of the wall when there are 2 and single file in front of you. Go up there where no one else is experimenting and try to figure out if there's some space up there to make enough of a run off of either turn 2 or turn 4. And remember, guys, those guys that came down pit road recently, especially some of those postseason hitters, they're good on fuel theoretically to the end of this race. We don't fully know the situation of those that have stayed out, whether they have saved enough fuel under the cautionary periods. But those who came down, we know they're well within the fuel window. They are good to the checkered. So if we go green until the end, how will that play a role? And thus, how aggressive will Kerwin and the gang be, because they know they can make it to the checkered?
And the old adage is you can't really save fuel by being out front, right? I mean, that's the most disadvantageous way to save fuel if you are Steven Wilson. So maybe we've seen it before earlier this season where our calculations, our assumptions, maybe we're way off and there was plenty of fuel at the end. Steven Wilson maybe knows more than we do, but the battle for first is getting better and bigger from Zach Novak, but still the fuel question is really interesting for Wilson.
There's only 3 drivers who did not pit on any of the 2 recent yellow flag cycles that I think are at the biggest of risk, and that's Steven Wilson in first, it's Sebastian Marin in 6th, and it is Seth Knoll much further down the running order as he's in the number 22 spot. Everybody else, I think, if you trust our numbers, would be good to go to the end. But remember, we did see guys taking a splash on that yellow flag cycle some 30 laps ago, so it is at least plausible for the likes of Wilson, Marin, and others to make it to the end of this race. They've also had the benefit of 2 yellows to save fuel under the caution. Always love when you get all these varying strategies coming together, giving this race a little bit more excitement as if it was short on it at any point, because it has been ultra competitive. Left side of your screen, you can see the last pit stop lap number. So higher number means they pitted most recently. So who's got the best tires out of anybody? We got to go down to Christopher Hill in 9th. Him, DeMerchant, Maines, those drivers are the guys who pitted most recently. They have the best of the tires. But again, it's only 10 laps better. Is that enough to let you carve your way through the field? At the moment, no. They're making passes, but they're having to work for them.
Yeah, but that's going to be the case here in Michigan regardless. I mean, whether you're on fresh tires, old tires, or the same level of tires as other drivers, you really have to find yourself in the right place at all times, because again, the track always plays such a big role down these straightaways that you could easily be swamped by someone who has 10 lap older tires than you, and in this middle of the pack, that's where everyone is already starting to equalize on this cycle, where Malik Ray, the Stepnola number 69 car, Donovan Strauss, Matthew Morton on the very inside, they're all just picking their way through on different strategies because they've already equalized and they know what can be there as they hit the wall. I mean, they are just going insane right now, and this battle for the race lead just continues to get really, really piped up with Zach Novak, a driver who is back-to-back top 10s. Colin Kieser is coming off of a suspension from Daytona and is right back in it, looking for a good run on flipping of the strategy.
Oh, but another almost close call for the 97, Allen. I thought that was finally the one that was going to bite Tucker Minter, but somehow he gets away again.
Yeah, we're talking the 9 lives of Tucker Minter in this race. I think we're on 5 or 6 right now. Not many left, but only 13 laps to go. And with that, look, there's a lot of racing left, I know, but only 2 postseason drivers in the top 10 right now. That would be a huge disparity in the points if it were to end. Again, a lot of laps to go, but you have to think about that. But some of these postseason drivers need to start making their way toward the front, and it's hard to do when you are still 3-4 wide in the back and having handling issues like we continue to see with the 97 of Tucker Minter.
And remember, as we work through this postseason format, drivers who can get that race victory here in this opening round and claim a spot in the finale. We could see up to 3 different race winners. That leaves at least 1 on points. There's a hip check off of 2, and it spits Matthew Morton down to the apron. He'll blend back up, lose about a half a dozen spots. The 11 of Vicente Salas came flying through the picture, trying to take advantage and pick some up. This is all going on, you'd think, for the lead. Now it's the battle for 25th. Way back in the pack, but there's still a lot of heavy hitters. And don't tell them this is for a mid-20 spot. It's the most aggressive stuff on the racetrack we're seeing right now. 11 laps to go. That time by. Some fuel questions lingering for Wilson, the leader, and others. But back here, these drivers good on fuel and with fresher tires feel like they have the license to be full push at this moment.
Well, Evan, you don't need to tell them that they're battling for about 23rd and 25th because they know they're in this spot. They know how this race has turned out. They know how struggle-filled the night has been, at least for some of them, like a Basin and a Kenny Brady and a Salas who was involved in the spin on the back straightaway. They know their situation. It's just now the mentality of I have to push as hard as I can. I don't care if I'm banging doors with somebody. I don't know if I'm going to make some enemies, but does it matter at this point just because they know what's on the line in this postseason? And then you look at the battle for 10th. Ryan Luza, who had been one of the biggest moves of the night. Blaze Crawford, who got his first career laps, led so close to the victory at Daytona a few weeks ago. Wyatt Tinsley and Parker White right behind. Some great stuff in the mid-pack. And I think if you're Wyatt and Tinsley, you love this situation. Fresh tires carving through the field. They see more single file up ahead of them. They can see a golden path that leads to a good finish with 10 laps to go.
Yeah, Wyatt Tinsley has been strong tonight. Just a matter of getting that track position with only 9 laps to go. Here's Kano Juroszak not having the night that he ultimately wanted so far. Has to make up some ground here. But again, to be where he is and trying to race down the leader of Steven Wilson and also win the bracket challenge, guys. You know what I mean? He's trying to do a lot of things right here. A lot of storylines going on, and we only have 9 laps to go, but he is being pursued right now from Zach Novak while also trying to chase down Steven Wilson, who has those fuel questions that we have to see how it all plays out in the next few laps.
And also remember, guys, for drivers like Juroszak and Tinsley, they don't have any bonus postseason points going into this race. White, Wilson, all those drivers do because they've won races this year. For those who haven't, they already are on the back foot a little bit in this 3-race postseason format. So honestly, it's not a bad call at all. I kind of like it from Juroszak, and even though we've seen pace from Wyatt Tinsley, he can still get a good finish out of this. I mean, that's enough points to probably make up the deficit. Maybe not to Wilson, assuming this holds on and he's in the lead here till the end, but at least on drivers like a Bobby Zelensky and like a Vicente Salas and Tucker Minter and drivers who have performed so well this year. I mean, when you're leveled out at 2,000, you've got to separate in a big way. And I like what Juroszak and Wyatt Tinsley have done so far. 2 strong performances as of late.
Yeah, and it's not a big hole, right? And some of them are going to be 5 back, 10 back, 15 back. But when you compare it to the Cup Series and the Chase, where there's gaps of 5 or 10 or 25 points, but you got 10 weeks to maybe balance that out a little bit. These guys have got 3 weeks to dig out of that, air quotes, hole that they start in, and they don't get the benefit of stage points. They have limited opportunities. So what does the 40 need to do? Well, he may need to push for the win. It's the best look he's had all night. Down to the inside goes Juroszak. Don't sleep on Novak. The 8 car watching on from 3rd as Juroszak gets a nose in front. Contact for the lead. Can he get clear of the 77? Big throw into the corner. Watch for the 77 to go for the crossover on the bottom. Juroszak keeps it out of the wall, chases him all the way to the apron to try to put a block.
There are postseason drivers at the front, then non-postseason drivers behind them, Alan. It is Mayhem Wilson back to the front, pivots outside of turn 4. Can Juroszak find the crossover? He cannot. Zach Novak has entered the chat. 5 laps to go from Michigan.
This feels like a race at Daytona or Talladega. Zach Novak trying to make the most. Now it's Steven Wilson having to fight him off. Steven Wilson, with all the challengers, still gets out to the lead, still wondering about his fuel situation. He can't save anything having to push this hard. It's just a matter of can these cars behind him get in single file once again and make another run at the multi-time champ.
And can Juroszak get back, or was that his one best look? You talk about trying to differentiate yourself. Every point and every position on the racetrack's just one. It's 35 for second, 34 for third, etc. You can't build gaps really easily unless you go out there and win the race. And now that Juroszak has been able to shake off the challenge, Novak now struggling. We're also seeing Keister really start to struggle. The 15 was up there with the leaders not all that long ago. You've got 3 different tire strategies inside of the top 4. Wilson, 42 laps old. Juroszak and Ola Timbosen, 32 laps old. Christopher Hill in 4th, 22 laps old. So the best tires out of anybody have now entered the conversation. Watch that Logitech Chevrolet.
And the effects that we saw out of Tucker Minter earlier in this race of right rear kicking out, car getting loose in the corner. That's what all these drivers are looking for right now. Boy, a big throw into the corner by Connor Juroszak, denied at the door by Wilson. And here comes the Spire Motorsports team. And again, they won the team championship last year for their performances. Femi blocking again. Christopher Hill to the bottom for 3rd. And guys, this is not over yet. Juroszak has been flirting with the clean air all night long on this last run, and he's been getting close enough. He's got the better car on rotation. Can he make the move, though? Yellow flag comes out. This race is not over. And it's Colin Keister, Michael Guest involved. Oh, no.
Wow.
Setting up for what could have been a generational run to the finish. with three distinct strategies converging on one another. And instead, we have an accident in turn number 4, and there are postseason drivers involved. There is damage to the number 24 of Casey Kerwin, and there is damage to the number 95 of Parker White. So at least 2 postseason drivers get some damage in this. We saw it was Guest around. We saw it was Keister around, but there are multiple cars involved in the battle for about 15th position coming to the 2 laps to go. We'll have to wait to see the replay to cast full judgment, but I can assume if they were driving that aggressively up front, they were doing the same back in wherever this fight was.
What a battle we were watching up front. There's going to come a point where Connor Urashak is not going to check up going into that corner for Steven Wilson anymore. The reward of a win, let's not forget, a win puts you in that finale. Don't have to worry about points. We're seeing some pitting now. Steven Wilson not among them as the leaders
this is
stay out
interesting
here.
Because, Alan, some of these guys pitting, Kerwin, Parker White, Garrett Lowe, they all pitted most recently. They were on the group that pitted 24 laps ago. Wilson's been out for 45, so you wonder if this is, that they take less fuel, and are they going to be short? I think it may be more a tire play. They feel like, hey, we might get a couple restarts out of this. Here's the second look at what happened, though. 15's a little loose, all right, a lot loose, off of 2, into the outside wall, and that kind of sets up this big group headed to turn 3.
And Zelensky in the bottom and sent the Merchant. Oh, caught the bumper of Colin Keister, and then into the back goes Kerwin, into the back goes White. I mean, that's a double deal for Colin Keister on front end nose damage, and then Michael Guest just gets involved in that. I don't think, Alan, I've ever seen that where 2 drivers at the same time collect the same nose damage from a single car in a single corner.
Colin Keister hitting the trifecta or the quad even. I mean, 4 different drivers hit him in that one wreck.
Very fortunate they didn't go all the way around, but there is going to be damage on those postseason cars. We'll see how they can shake out as they're going to be back outside of the top 20. And Steven Wilson, you got to wonder, 45 laps since he last came down to the pit lane. Again, he's had a couple of yellows to save some fuel, but if it wasn't already close, it's got to be even closer for him now. And again, I think if that race had 5 laps to go instead of 2, and it races out, I think Christopher Hill wins the race. I mean, he was catching those drivers, not easily, but he was making up time lap after lap. So the question becomes, this could be 2 laps to the end. This could be 3 attempts to finish. Can Christopher Hill, from his perspective, get the laps and the space needed to activate those tires?
I do like the situation, though, for Hill because, again, you're running on the outside of row number 2, and it's not for the initial jump that we've seen Wilson do so well at, and now even more so that he's got a teammate, Femi Olatunbosun, right behind him. They're probably going to time this restart and just try and launch as far as they can. But I like Hill's position on tires because outside has been so dominant tonight. If Urashak falls in the middle of this group, Hill can take advantage, take a good swing off turn 2, and then just attack as much as possible with those white flag laps potentially in the hands. I mean, this is tough. Those drivers who came down on pit road, I think it's not only just a tire play, but they're hoping that if it's an overtime restart 1, 2, or 3, these guys are going to run out at some point, and then you're going to gain free track position, maybe not for a win, but maybe for a good enough finish to point ahead of those other few in this round.
And Steven Wilson has been masterful on these restarts, but eventually you have to wonder, do tires play a factor in any of this, in getting a good launch, a good restart? We'll have to see here on the 77, but what a battle it's been. Steven Wilson, Connor Urashak up front.
A lot on the line as we head to attempt number 1 at eNASCAR Overtime. It is the postseason opener at Michigan International Speedway, and Steven Wilson trying to head back to the final round. Green flag flies, back underway we go. It's another good start for the 77 like always. Femi Olatunbosun, he's got the speed on the bottom. He's got the advantage for P2.
You saw the wheel spin, though, off the restart. Wilson and Urashak are not safe by any means necessary. This is almost looking like a rewind of Dover this season. Femi Olatunbosun in the runner-up spot. They're hip checking 4 and 5 wide. down the back straightaway. 3 wide for position in the top 5. Seth Marin trying to hang through. It's Wilson off turn 4, looking for the white flag.
Of all the drivers, Steven Wilson has his teammate behind him as they get the white flag. One more lap to go. What can happen? You have to pass 2 Spire cars for the victory right now.
It's still a mess in the midfield. Oh, there's trouble into the outside wall. Doesn't matter. We race to the checkered flag. It was Luza. Still single file off of 2. Connor Urashak trying to be the second Latardi sports car to be in a championship round, but he just doesn't have it late. Femi Alatimbosin stays second in line, and Steven Wilson will fight to become a 3rd title winner in 4 years, race winner at Michigan.
Oh, wow.
He looked in the camera coming off turn 4 and just gave a wink to everybody. That's
Did you not say earlier that Steven Wilson has been a little bit quiet over the last few weeks? I feel like I remember that being said.
We may have woken up a lion now that it's the postseason. That's
Are you
the Steven
not
Wilson we know.
entertained?
Oh,
first race win. It's his 3rd on the year, but first since Dover, round number 4. Tonight only the 2nd time all season that Steven Wilson leads the most laps. But when it matters the most, winners win. And Steven Wilson, the title defense will continue again. This winning moment is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official fan refreshment of eNASCAR. Steven Wilson, postseason opener victory at Michigan, and will head to the final round with a shot at another eNASCAR title on the line at the NASCAR Hall of Fame. We take a look at your Coca-Cola move of the race. He nailed about half a dozen restarts, KB, but none more critical than on the final restart in overtime. And more importantly, I mean, his jump was one thing, but you called it setting up his teammate Femi Alatimbosin to also get the great jump. Both Spire cars clear before they get to turn 2.
And there was wheel spin too. I was almost concerned for both ends of the line, for Urashak and for Wilson, that the restart was not going to go the way they wanted it to, and that other drivers like Femi and others were going to take advantage. But it didn't matter at the end of the day. And just like I said, it's a rewind of Dover on the restart. It's a rewind of Dover in the finish. Another 1-2 for Spire Motorsports as they try to hold on for the team title. And most importantly, Steven Wilson just hanging on for dear life on fuel and on old tires for career win number 20.
Continues to make history. Steven Wilson will head to the final round of the postseason for the 5th time in his career as he is in search for championship number 3. Alan, you're with tonight's race winner.
Steven Wilson had the worst tire situation, the worst fuel situation, and you made it look easy, my friend. Was any part of you nervous heading into the overtime restart?
Not gonna lie, I'm not nervous at all when I know my boy Femi's lined up right behind me and we're working together to get another 1-2 here at Michigan. Yeah, this thing was as fast as Spectrum Mobile, and there you go, we got the sign over here for the GOAT. Yeah, this thing was as fast as Spectrum Mobile all night in qualifying and race. And man, I gotta thank the Spectrum connection. That's why I'm here, and just really happy to have them on the car. And yeah, it's cool, 1 for 1 for them, and on to another championship 4 battle.
Let's talk about that GOAT status, because I brought it up. This has not seemed like a Steven Wilson year. I know 2 wins, that's crazy to say, but you've been a little bit quiet lately. Today, you start up front, you dominate, you get the win, you lead the most laps. What has changed in the last few weeks?
I just think Michigan is a racetrack that, like, we raced last year, and it's comfortable for me, and I was fast all night, knew what to do, and not really anything's changed here compared to last year. So I just knew what to expect coming in and what I needed to do. Goose is ready to party over there. I hear him too. So, but yeah, I just think that some of these racetracks we're kind of oddball almost. You know, we haven't had a mile and a half since Charlotte, first race of the year. And it's just like all over the place. And sometimes it's hard to get those finishes, you know, but I got a podium finish in the first like 5 or 6 races in all of them. So can't really ask for much more than that. But yeah, back in victory lane, this is cool. Going to the championship 4. I feel like I still got it in me at Homestead for sure. So.
All right, we're going to bring your teammate in here. But, Steven, I got to ask just first, we know your family, they can book their tickets to Charlotte once again. What's that mean to you? They come every year to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it's really cool. They thanked me last year when I won Michigan for allowing them to book the tickets early, and they'll get to do it again this year. So it keeps it cheaper for everybody, and they can get their plans set. But, yeah, it's really cool. Miss them, love them. Love you guys. I know they're watching, so miss you guys, love you guys. Yeah, it'll be cool to see them, have them down here in Charlotte. And, it kind of fixes me missing Iowa, missing home. But, yeah, getting able to see them and race for a championship is like the best feeling I've ever had. So just honored to be able to do it again for everybody at Spire and everybody at Spectrum and everybody in the 77 and everyone that I've worked with all year on Spire as well and NFR and Jarrett for all his help. Just thank you to all those guys and happy we can do it again for them.
Yeah, speaking of Spire, let's bring in your teammate. You guys finished 1-2. Femi, I want to ask you, what was that like? I mean, I know you want the win, but you're also running for your teammate who just ran away to turn the light on there. But what's that like with Steven in the lead? And I know you want the checkered flag, but what's the teammate situation like there for you?
Yeah, man, I just sat there thinking, like, how can I pass Steven so I don't finish second behind him again? I was thinking, like, the win is going to matter to me so much, right? Like, I'm not in the playoffs. But, just the checkered flag. I mean, to be honest, like, I really, there's nothing I could do, with the dirty air. But, like, I'm not going to – I think the plan there was just to make sure we got a 1-2 either way. But obviously with him winning, that puts him in the championship 4. And I think the big thing is we secured the 1-2 regardless of whichever one of us won.
Even what's it like having, overtime and then you have your teammate. Of all the drivers, that's in your rearview mirror. That's a good feeling.
That's the best one. That's what I was hoping for. I saw him moving up there, and I knew he was coming, and I knew he had a little bit fresher tires than me, and he could help push me if it needed to be. So, yeah, he's the best. He's been one of my best friends for a long time now on this service, and yeah, I just know when I have a guy like that behind me, we seem to finish 1-2 here a lot and work together pretty well. So, yeah, that always makes you feel better when you're out there in the lead needing that.
Yeah, I believe the technical term is shake and bake. Congrats to you, Steven. Femi, I mean, going out, having a strong start. I know there's so much still to race for, even if it's not the postseason. So to have a run like this, what's that show you and your team?
This is just another showcase of the strongest team in the series for the past 2 years. And, we have 3 races left to keep, hopefully go 3 1-2s to close the season. But it's just really cool to be able to represent Spire Motorsports. And, we had 2 sponsors come on board tonight for the first time all season, Spectrum with Steven and Freeway Insurance with me, which is one of the fastest and largest growing personal insurance broker lines in the U.S. So it's pretty cool that, that's their first race and they get a 1-2.
All right, Femi, great job tonight. 1-2 for Spire. A fun run, fun way to start the postseason, guys.
And now joined by the driver who finishes 3rd tonight, Connor Euroshak. Connor, I know it was a tough set of emotions there. You were fighting for the lead, 2 laps to go. Caution comes out. You finish 3rd in this overtime attempt to restart. In what way do you process those final few laps, what you felt maybe was left on the table there for the win?
Yeah, obviously pretty disappointed. Going to relive that move into 1 back quite a few times. I thought he drove it in on my right rear with me, and he let me throw the slider, and I just overdrove it. So after that, it was going to be tough to get back to him, and then restarting second there if the teammates on the bottom was going to be tough. But, I'm proud of the way our State Water Heater car was up front, and, we were stuck back in the pack, people trying to intent wreck me. It was a rough night, but if there's one thing we've done all year, it's stick with it and be there at the end, and I'm proud of how close we got.
I know there's the conversation of being in the playoffs for the first time and this postseason format, and obviously a 3rd place finish I think is going to do well for you going into the next few races. But in the grand scheme of things, you also won the William Byron Esports Bracket Challenge against Parker White. You did finish in front of him. I don't know if you processed that as well, just given the postseason situation, but any thoughts on that? Any emotions? You feel happy about the win?
Yeah, I'm happy. And I'm happy the way we ran. Nexus this year, we've worked hard and we've gotten our cars a lot better in a spot that we can. I feel like I go into every week with a chance to win. I mean, I haven't got it done yet, and obviously I was so close to locking into Homestead there. It's going to be tough to think about much else than that, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's still a good points day, and there's 2 more of these we got a shot to win, and I feel confident we can get it done.
Connor, it's been a decent stretch for you as well. Saw you were in Daytona with a couple of the eNASCAR guys just a few days ago. This finish tonight at Michigan to kind of move forward in the postseason. And College Series is also coming around. You are the defending champion on that front. So do we see another University of Calgary truck back in action for the new tournament format this year?
Yeah, you'll see me there, and hopefully we can double up this year with the Coke title and the college title, and then go back to college. There's lots of races to be excited for, and just regroup, get back to testing, and we still got a ways to go with the year. So looking forward to it all.
Well, this sophomore season is shaping up to be a good one. Connor, thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations on the 3rd tonight.
Well, big thanks to those drivers for giving us a word as we take a look at your updated postseason standings. So with the victory, Steven Wilson is locked in and will fight for a 3rd career championship here in 2026. Bobby Zelensky, courtesy of the bonus points to start the round and a P5 finish, is the highest above the cut line on points in position number 2. 21 to the good. Connor Urashek, 8 points above. He is 3rd. And then Wyatt Tinsley, who finished 4th tonight, is in the number 4 spot. So 4 postseason drivers finished top 5 in the race. They're all above the cut line. Conklin, Minter, single digits back. Lowe, Kerwin, White, and Salas, they're on back. All of these drivers still well mathematically in the equation with 2 more races to go in this opening round.
And you also look at how things shape up for guys like Vicente Salas. A tough night in this race from Michigan, and how last year he had to win his way to the finale at Charlotte. And then we look at the race results where it is another 1-2 finish for Spire Motorsports 7. It seems like just when other teams are getting close to Spire, they start to pull away with finishes like these. Connor Urashek, Wyatt Tinsley, they had fantastic performances. Bobby Zelensky, I mean, all things considered, he was mid-pack for most of this night, and he rallies to finish 5th with Seb Marin and many other drivers who were fresh on tires, could have had a shot at the win. Just either fell off in that final run or just didn't have the position in the overtime restart.
Yeah, no other postseason drivers in the back half of the top 10, but you flip over to the next page, you'll see 2 more, and that's the rookie Sean Conklin with 11th place result. Great finish for him. And Tucker Minter, for how many different ways this night could have fell apart for him, P12, I think I would take that if I'm him. Non-playoff drivers behind him, you got Cozy, Warman, Baines, and Strauss through your top 15. Dylan Duvalin's up in the number 16 spot. And then Casey Kerwin, somebody else who's won championships in this before. The Kansas City Pioneers had their watch party going on tonight. Wanted maybe a little bit more, but a P18 when others had a bad night. Maybe not the worst result.
Yeah, and then a lot of drivers that either ended up in 3 and 4 wide mayhem or just got damaged. Dylan Basin was one of those drivers who spun earlier on tonight. There's Cody Bias and Ryan Doucette, the Apex Racing cars. Blake Reynolds had a lot of damage earlier on tonight, still got it somehow fixed and managed 27. Garrett Lowe and Vicente Salas, those are the 2 that I'm watching at the back end of this field, how rough the night was for them in the middle of all the action, getting bumped around. And Parker White as well had front end nose damage from one of the incidents with Colin Keister. You look all the way down the order where Kenny Brady, Jake Nichols, Ryan Luza, Jordy Lopez, those are drivers that also got involved in incidents on the overtime restart. Colin Keister, Michael Guest, and Nate Stewart involved in the biggest crashes of the night, and they end up finalizing the 40-car field from Brooklyn.
We had a conversation about momentum. Parker White may have been the hottest postseason driver coming into this. 5 straight top 10s, 2 straight top 5s, lowest of them all in the number 31 spot when it's all said and done, and with some work to do. Well, the work continues when we go back at it in 2 weeks' time. It's Tuesday, September 15th from iRacing's virtual Texas Motor Speedway. That'll kick off 2 races in 2 weeks to final up the championship for drivers as we look to continue our steps towards crowning a champion here this season. Tonight, despite the fact that Steven Wilson was up front leading laps, felt like it was going to be one of those nights where maybe somebody could sneak in. Connor Urashak making a case in point. And I feel like we just had this conversation, Kenneth, but I want to go back to you on it. You mentioned it's career win number 20 for Steven Wilson. That ties him third all-time with Nick Ottinger. We were just having this conversation when Bobby Z did it a couple of weeks back, continuing to make history. And before he won the title last year, even with his first championship a couple years ago, we were in this unprecedented streak of kind of competitiveness and new champions year after year after year. I feel like I blinked, and we're talking about the possibility of a guy going 3 for 4. That's Ray Alfala-esque, and he's going to have another chance to do so, and now can start prepping for that Homestead finale, while everybody else scurries around and worries about if they're in or not.
Well, remember with the conversation you and I had after that race was over at Homestead last year, and the call that you had at the finish was Ray Alfala's not alone. He's not the only dominant driver in this series. Steven Wilson, Bobby Zalenski, they're starting to put their names in this series history, and especially Wilson, someone who seems like only continues to get better as the years go on. It doesn't seem like there's a fade at all. But I really do love, Alan, the way that other drivers can make statements as well, despite this dominance. I mean, Wilson is locked in, but there's still 3 spots open with 2 intermediate races to go where we saw great performances out of guys like Tinsley and Euroshak. I'm really curious about how they do at Fort Worth in a few weeks' time.
And Sean Conklin as well. As we keep saying, one driver at a minimum is going to make it into the finale based on points alone. Right now, Sean Conklin, the rookie, is in position to do that, so that's huge. But as for the top of the field, you come at the king, you best not miss. The entire field had a shot at keeping Steven Wilson from an automatic berth into the finale. None of them could do it, and guess who's there? Maybe the next GOAT, maybe the GOAT, has already punched his ticket to Charlotte.
I think that's a story that transcends all sports, and that is if you got somebody who's at the top of the game and you get a chance to maybe take them down and you don't capitalize on it and you let them get another one, history doesn't typically reflect really well on those scenarios. Urashak is going to have more chances, but tonight it belongs to Steven Wilson. That's going to be it for us here tonight from Michigan. On behalf of our entire team at NASCAR, iRacing, our remote production crew, everybody in the iRacing office, and of course for your broadcast team tonight. For Ryan Vargas and James Pike on Countdown to Green, for Alan Cavana, Kenneth Bueno, and myself, Evan Pasoko, want to say thank you for tuning in. We will see you in 2 weeks' time, Tuesday, September 15th, for iRacing's virtual Texas Motor Speedway. That race and every race of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Championship Series postseason can be found right here on the iRacing Esports Network and streaming live at eNASCAR.com. Until then, good night from Michigan, and congratulations, Steven Wilson, the defending champ, is back in the final round.